I love weird shit, and on the low, let me let you in on something. Every single person does. Why wouldn't you like super weird anime and manga and video games and fucking 1994 erotic games that address the point of love and accepting it into our life when it seems as if nothing is ever going to go right? But I'll be completely honest, there was a long time where I despised Chainsaw Man. From 2021 to 2023, I hated Chainsaw Man because I hated how weird it was, and rightfully so. I had my qualms with its writing and its fan base at the time. I didn't really understand Chainsaw Man. I would sit for hours on end diving into the manga and every new chapter asking myself when it would get good, when it would make sense. When would it be something that's more digestible, that's lighter on the side and is super clear in what kind of story it wants to tell? But I was wrong in doing this. I was wrong to try and make sense of something that have never wanted to make sense in the beginning. Hey, it's Mobby here, and do you like Chainsaw Man? Chances are you do, and if you don't, that's cool too, because I've been on both sides of the spectrum, including multiple times, and that statement refers to the chromosome chart and whether I end up with autism or not. And liking Chainsaw Man, the 2018 hit Shounen following Denji, the boy that wants nothing more than a hot night with his red-haired muse, and muse is used very lightly here, considering the fact that his muse, I once say again in quotation marks, is actually an evil fucking bitch who wants to reign supreme over the world, and does so by using Denji and his dog demon that reside within him, which can turn into a fucking demon capable of utilizing chainsaws as weapons, and of course using his unrequited desire to be loved and viewed as anything more than he is. And of course you can couple the fact that Denji actually ends up literally getting thrown up in his mouth, and of course later in the story he gets jerked off for 7 pages straight, not 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, but 7 pages straight, which created a whole discourse about whether or not sexual assault is okay if it's a man who's the victim. And finally, of course, let's take it back to the first chapter where Denji is so broke and desperate he sells his balls. He sold his fucking boys. They're gone. Yes, Chainsaw Man is extremely weird, and for a shonen, especially in 2024, it's unorthodox, which has justifiably and deservingly garnered it an extremely high amount of success in the industry and the culture. Coming up with Jujutsu Kaisen, a manga that is also something that strays away from the norm of, hey, I'm a kid with some kind of disability and everybody hates me, but I end up coming into some kind of powerful monster or demon or ghost thing where I can actually gain superpowers and become the most loved person in the city. It turns these elements on its head and pushes for something more through strange storytelling, and often more than not becomes most surreal in the process. This isn't to shit on your average shonen or, you know, your average fucking manga. One Piece is pretty fucking awesome, but surely at some point someone said, okay, this genre is more than just that, which people look at as an insult. But as I've said before, and I'll gladly say again, simple storytelling entirely works, but so does the complex and complicated styles of storytelling where you're supposed to be confused, and Chainsaw Man completely encapsulates that and capitalizes on it to tell an extremely intriguing story. There's no other manga where you'll see a fucking woman controlling the fucking Statue of Liberty itself to fucking attack a creature. You're not gonna get this in any fucking shonen. I was a fool in trying to understand Chainsaw Man because its purpose is to make no sense at all. It's not something that's meant to be understood, and while I used to think this was a negative thing, I realized that it's something that's positive. Now, of course, your work of art needs to be interesting. If you want to tell a story in a way that's subtle and sometimes misleading, then the elements of the story need to coincide with this, and they need to make sense. Often more than not, people don't realize this and end up misinterpreting a story outright. You can't lead me on and then it ends up being nothing. A story needs to be much more than that. For example, Evangelion is told in a way that's subtle, misleading, and almost dangerous because you cannot predict what's next. From the bizarre romances to the outright horrifying designs of the angels, creatures that are threatening all of humanity's existence, by the way, I had no clue on if Evangelion was going to go a darker route or a psychosexual one that challenges the gender norms and what we perceive gender and sex as, both biologically and societally. And analysis of human anatomy or dissection of our social standards, and because of this, Evangelion ended up addressing both, as well as many other ideas. Evangelion can be torn open multiple times and its meaning can be dissected and changed. Its strangeness outweighs the fact that you don't understand it fully. It's alluring. It's able to drag you in and tell you, hey, stick around for one more episode, just one more episode, and you might understand what I'm trying to say here. Monogatari, Zetsubo Sensei, Mononoke, Evangelion, Serial Experiments Lane, Panty and Stocking, Patrol Girl, Luluko, all of these anime have something in common. They lean far more into the enigma in order to give you a message that your average anime can't. Its value lies in its dissection, your ability to take them apart and put them together in your own way through your own experiences, and I believe Chainsaw Man tells its story in a similar manner, something I wasn't able to do or discover because I was so blinded by my desire to understand, just as Denji is. Why do humans want all of these things? Food, sex, friends, family, power, money. Why do humans feel so inclined, so dedicated, attracted, and eager to dive into the annals of greed? We won't know until we've taken them apart piece by piece. To me, Chainsaw Man is this idea. It takes its style of storytelling and weaves it into its characters so effortlessly that it almost feels as if we're Denji, going through horrible shit, being manipulated, being drawn into these parts of the story to be taken out by its strange and outright disgusting storytelling. It's gruesome in every way, from a girl literally ripping your heart out of your chest to your limbs being blown off. Chainsaw Man is a blast. Perhaps Chainsaw Man isn't supposed to tell a story, but rather show you the disgustingness of this world, and to me that's more genius than anything. I turned away from the violence, the greed, because I wanted to understand its meaning when its meaning lied within itself. This is the paradigm of life. We are to suffer just as much as we are to succeed. We are to take both our pain and suffering with us, despite the fact that the next action to take place may be one that we were never ready for, just like Chainsaw Man. And that's how my love for Chainsaw Man was found and finally understood by me. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, I'm signing off. Peace.